Hello, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me. Check, check. Welcome to the 2026 February Ask Me Anything for UEFN and UE. For those that want to learn more about Unreal Engine, by all means, drop your comments in the chat. Got a few things to definitely talk about. I got a new update this morning, so all kinds of new toys, and there's actually one that I want to play with, so we're definitely going to get into that. And the reason that I want to play with it is because it plays with splines, and I love splines. They're super cool. Had some comments and questions on our socials about things like materials, so we're going to cover those bits and pieces. And also, we definitely want to let you know that if you're not following us on X and the other socials too, or on Facebook as well, come hang out with us on those socials. Just look us up under Cleverlike. And the other thing I want to point out here too, which I haven't talked about too much in the past, but it's because it's kind of been this project we've been building. So I want you to kind of see what's going on in here. We have the ability to chat with you, the teachers and the students, and like make things happen in the classroom. So we've been building curriculum on the side, and it's super cool. So I definitely want you all to kind of see this one. So give me just a moment. I have a hard time typing and talking at the same time here. My brain don't work like that. Let's do this one. So we're gonna go this way. So let's start here. So many of you know us as the people that do all this UEFN stuff. That's really what this one is all about. We do a lot of stuff in Minecraft as well, because we want to make sure that, you know, we're hitting those fundamental building skills very early and then using those throughout your lifetime and your career when you're building stuff and put it out there further, right? So you can get a hold of us. This is our website, cleverlike.com. Definitely come check out the stuff that is here. If you want us as the instructors to come and do something like a game jam, we actually were just out in Syracuse doing a game jam out there. So thank you to Elite Gaming for hosting us. That was amazing. Got to hang out with some teachers, do some professional development. I know teachers are going, oh my gosh, professional development, that sounds boring. It's more of a show. Promise you. I don't do sit and gets. It's very hands-on. I walk around there. I make sure that you're pressing the right buttons. If you can't figure it out, if you never touched this stuff before, you're in the right place, because this is what we do, is we get you onboarded, up and running, right? So be aware that we can come and travel to where you're at, right? 3 weeks ago, we were out in California. You know, we're in Syracuse. We're going to be out in Florida here in a couple of weeks. We're going to be out in North Carolina. Like, we're all over the place, making sure that teachers have the information they need to get it into their school, and students, or just people in general that are going to school. If you are looking to get this stuff into your school, like you see that there's potential there and you've got an esports lab, that is huge. We can definitely start to show up and actually be teaching this stuff. So check all that stuff out. Okay, let's see what horse ranch. Yes, we know the horse ranch stuff. We've got things that are coming. I can't talk about them at the moment, but I promise you we've got things that are moving forward, and we've got some new projects too. So all of our Minecraft fans, thank you for joining us. There's plenty of stuff that's coming, so all there. Let's jump into the editor. Let's go ahead and bring this one up here. It's quiet in here. Well, is my mic on? Hopefully my mic's on. Hopefully y'all can hear me. Hopefully it's not that quiet. What I want to do is to make sure that y'all see some of this cool stuff. So I'm going to bring up this. This is the new update. Where we at? Right about capture area device. Okay, cool. So new update. We're going to be running inside of 39.4 inside of UEFN. It's actually Unreal 5.8, which is kind of cool. So we're going to see some of the behind the scenes stuff that's actually going on in there as well. There's some cool features that have been added that I want to talk about that are just going to make you more efficient. So let's go ahead and jump in. Let's push this off to the side. One moment. Mike's working fine. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. Good to see you. I'm glad you're here. Okay. Cool thing I want to show you. Down here in the content drawer, so way down here in the bottom left, you may or may not have actually noticed there's another little section down here. And this has been in Unreal for a long time, and I've been waiting for this to show up. These are called collections. So I'm going to show you what they are and why they're super helpful, right? So if we open this up, it's like, hey, click on, or I'll zoom in on this and make this a lot easier to see, right? So we can click on this and we get a little collection. And I'm like, well, I might be working for a brand, right? And I want to make sure that all their brand stuff is actually stuck down inside of there. We can actually grab things, not the actual folders, but like things like the actual assets. And if we click and drag them down in here, oh, you're going to fight me, aren't you? One moment. You can let me do it. Nothing happens, right? You're like, oh, I want to add something to it. Well, you know, should have read what was going on here. I'm going to click on this little tiny plus button right here, add collection. We're going to go and say local collection, right? And in this case, let's say, let's call eyes. right? Maybe we're working for like an eyelash company, right? So we want these eyes that are all going to be in there. So we have textures, we've got models, we've got materials, all kinds of stuff going on in here. And now if we come up here, we should be able to drag this into here, right? And then let go. Now, why is this helpful? Well, I might be deep somewhere in my devices, right? And then if I come down here, I'm like, oh, I want all those eye assets, right? I want those models, those meshes, those materials, right? This is super helpful. So when you're working with a brand or on a specific project and you want to keep track of specific assets, you can drop assets down here, right? Amazing. I love this feature. I've been waiting for this forever and a day. So really, really cool. Something else that actually got updated recently is that, let me go ahead and zoom out here. This was broken previously for a minute, but a lot of people don't know that this feature exists. And you can actually drag and drop textures onto a model and it'll just make a material and add the material to the object. So what do I mean? Well, let's go ahead and use that little eyeball thing again, right? So we go into project. Oh, I lied. Haha, we're going to come up here. We're going to go into this one. So this is a place actors section, right? So let's come up into here. Let's go into shapes. And I'm going to grab just a simple cube, right? So there's that. Let's go ahead and slide this over. And I want to put that eye material on this. If we actually grab just the texture, we can click and drag this on here. And this was broken a little while ago. Now it's working again. So for those that didn't know it was fixed, here you go. And you click it on there. Hey, look at that. It actually adds that to it. So what's happening in the background is that the engine has actually created a material and named it. Not a great name, right? But then it's actually added it to the folder where it was, right? So this texture was in there and it created this. This is new. This little thing right here is all brand new, right? So let's actually give it a new name because I don't like that name. That's terrible. M_I. Right, there we go. Awesome. So now we have this material. So here's another thing that we can do with our collections. I'll zoom in on this so you can see it. So if we right click on an object, at the very bottom of the list, it'll give us all of the collections that we have if we've created some, right? And I can say, hey, I want it to be part of this. So, hey, it's part of that one now, right? So super, super helpful. I love collections so much. You have no idea how excited I was when this got dropped a couple of weeks ago. I was like, oh my gosh. So yeah, hopefully that helps out. What questions do you have, y'all? Keep dropping them in the chat. Keep an eye on them. Make it happen. All this good stuff. Okay. Let's talk about a couple of the questions that have come in through social media. Let's grab this. So materials, let's continue to talk about materials. So someone's asking if we could find like shortcuts inside of materials. Like how can we make our building a material much more efficient while we're working inside of it? So let's actually jump into our eyeball material here because we can. Here's a cool little trick. I don't know if y'all knew this one. If we actually hold down the Alt key on the keyboard and click and drag, we can create a little yellow line, and this will allow us to cut any wires that it crosses, which can be really nice. The other way to do this actually is to hold down Alt and you can actually click on the pin and it'll go away, or you can click on the wire and it'll go away, right? But the advantage of this is if we have something like the alpha, this is not going to work because I don't have it hooked up, right? We've got like two of them on here. We can actually cut across both of them and it'll get rid of it. So another little efficient kind of thing to do. Okay. I want to change the way that this eyeball looks. And we're going to do this in a very kind of meh way. I'm not going to set up a bunch of different masks to play with this, although I might not have to. If my brain was smart, this texture might actually have, are you going to open? You're not going to let me double click on this to open it? Okay, so we got another bug. Good times. We can do it this way though. No, you're not going to let me open it there either. Oh, look at that. I would love to edit you. Edit. Oh, I want to open up the texture and it won't let me open up the texture. Is it because I'm in the texture editor? Can I do it from here? There we go. That was strange. Okay, this one does not have an alpha on it. That's fine. Not a big deal. Let's take a look what we do have, just in case I change my mind. Okay, we're not going to be able to play with it too much. All right, shortcuts inside of the material editor. There are a bunch of them. One of the most common ones that you'll probably run into is if you hold down the T key as in tango and left mouse click, you'll actually get a texture sample. Now you'll notice that this texture came in with it. And that is because this texture was actually selected inside the content drawer. So if you know what you're going to be playing with, you can bring them in really quickly. Now, some of you are like, well, why don't I just click and drag it in there? And yeah, you can totally do that too. That's not a big deal, right? So totally a thing. One of the other ones is if you hold down the M key. I'm sorry, I don't know what M is for. We'll say mom, right? So if you hold down M and left mouse click, you get a multiply, right? This is helpful. We can actually pump this one into here, and we can actually change the color. Let's actually change the model here. I'm not going to create a mask for this, but we can actually change the color on this one as well. And if I want to get a color node, if I hold down the 3 key on the keyboard and left mouse click, boom, now I got color. So if I multiply this by black, it's going to turn out black. But if we multiply this by a lighter color, let's bring up the value here, right? Do something like blue, right? Now you can see that those blue areas showing up over the white, right? Because it's multiplying that data across there. So while playing with this, there are a lot of shortcuts, but the question is, well, how do I learn them? Do I just go find something online? And you don't have to. Everything is actually here inside the engine. So over here on the far right-hand side, where it says palette, right up here, check this out. If I zoom in on this, I'll zoom in, right? Go over here and palette. You'll see that, hey, constant 3 vector. There's a 3 next to it. That's the hotkey for it. So if you're looking for a specific hotkey and there's something that you're using often, you can probably find it over here in the palette. And there are a lot of these, right? So F, right, material function call. Hey, that's something I didn't realize that's what that was. I always just right click and look for the word call. Now I know. Hey, excellent. Some of the other ones that are pretty common, we've got divide is another one, right? So an if, we can bring an F, linear interpolate, L, this is a big one. So holding down L, left mouse click, and we get a lerp. Lerps are amazing in materials. Please go play with them. Lots and lots of amazing stuff, right? So absolutely, there are a bunch of specific shortcuts that you can do to speed up your workflow, and you just become more effective when working inside the engine. So absolutely play with that stuff. Good. You spent a long time Googling the shortcuts and looking for it. Yeah, the palette is like your best friend over here. I love this one. And there's some stuff in here, like if you're really going to learn materials, so quick tangent kind of, right? But at least material related. If you're going to learn materials, note that the ones with the shortcuts on them are the ones that people use most often. Okay. So if you're like, oh, I want to learn how to do materials and I want a good place to start, the engine's great. And knowing that the ones that have got the hotkeys on them are the ones that people use most often. Like a sign is actually another one that gets used pretty often, but there isn't a shortcut for it. And there are literally hundreds upon hundreds of them in here. And the list keeps getting bigger because what's cool is that Epic and other developers will create little functions for material functions and they'll drop them in here. So yeah, know that this is here. It's really, really, really helpful. You love the horse mod. Yay. We appreciate you. Thanks for dropping in. We won't be talking about the horse mod today, but we appreciate the love. We have a lot of people in here that are looking for more horse fun things. So sorry, we're in UEFN today. Okay. Other questions that came in. An item. Okay. So this item, I'll see if I can find it. The mud temp solid has got a specific behavior that it does. So let's go talk about that one. So I'm going to guess it's going to be one of these two. So this specific asset is a Fortnite asset. Okay. So we have some control over it. And let's talk about the issue that we're running into. And ways, let's see if we can just troubleshoot this on the fly. Let's see if we can do this, right? So I'm going to grab this. I'll drag it into the world. Hit F to zoom in on it. So said problem, let's lift this one up. And if we rotate it, let's zoom in on it a little closer, right? And make sure my snaps are off. I don't want snaps on there, right? So if we rotate it, right, you'll notice that the closer that we get it to vertical, the texture starts to actually like stretch and we get this, right? And if I rotate this so we can actually see it in the sunlight, let's go to the backside here, right? Even the grass on the other side is freaking out. It's having a hard time, right? So, right. So what's happening here? Like what is this actually doing? Well, the way that this material is built most likely is that it's projecting straight down, right, along the up axis. You can see that down here, that's the up axis, the vertical axis, whatever you want to call it, right? And as we actually rotate it, it's still projecting it straight down, and that's why we get our streaks. And those streaks are coming from the pixels that are on that texture that happen to be facing that direction, right? So like, how do we address this? Well, honestly, I would go back and create my own texture. That's how I would address this, right? So if we have these specific textures, we can rebuild another one and then attach it to another object that happens to be the same size. That's how I would do it. Now, the reason that I say that is with this selected in the details panel over here on the right, you can see under my texture data, I don't have anything in here, right? There's no primary, secondary, tertiary, and fourth. There's nothing here. So if there's nothing here, I can't get at this specific material real easily. That's kind of the problem. But that's just the top of it, right? We also have a static mesh. So if we grab the static mesh, we can see that this static mesh has this material inside of it. And if we double click on it, unfortunately, we can't get at it because it's a Fortnite one, right? That's kind of the bummer that's there. But if we get this texture, right, and then rebuild the actual model, then we could actually get that to sit on there. Like that would be super helpful. And if I click on this button, I'll zoom in on it so you can see what I'm going to go for. And we'll talk about what it is. So this little manila folder with a search on it, if we click on this, it'll open up the content drawer and we might get a clue as to where it's at. Yeah, I didn't think so. I figured it was in the black box. So that's where that happens to be. But we can rebuild that actual material. Now you can get this from, third-party plugins, or no, sorry, not plugins. Sorry, you can't do plugins in UEFN. Let me clarify that. You can get this out of a third-party application and then rebuild it is how I would address that, right? So that you have a model that will always have this texture on this surface. So even though you turn it, it won't change, right? And if we actually, so this is the mud. Let me see if I can find this one. Let me find another one that kind of behaves in a similar way, right? So if we grab this one and I rotate it, you'll notice that I'll lift it up here and we'll turn it into the light and we'll move the camera. Okay, so you'll notice that this one doesn't stretch, and that's because the UVs are set up in a way that it's going to be on this surface, right? And here's a cool trick. I know some of you all know this, but this one's fun, right? I can copy this material and put it up here, right? So if I right click on secondary over here and I can say copy, right? And then if I come over here, and this is what I was thinking about doing, right? I can come over here and I can go paste, and it's not that one. And we'll try paste there. It's not that one. Paste there, not that one, and paste there, and not that one. So this one's not going to let me actually replace it. That's interesting. This does happen with some of them, so there it is. Yeah, rebuild the material is the way that I would address that. So hopefully that explains. Yes, you're welcome. Very cool. All right, the other thing. Now this is for me because I wanted to see what this was. While reading through this information, I came across this right here. This is super cool. I don't know too many people that play with this very often, but this is amazing. So we have this device inside of UEFN called the capture area device. And in the past, it's been just a circle, like a cylinder that the player would walk into, right? We can now change the way that looks and make it fit our world, right? So what I'm going to do here while we're getting more questions coming in, I'm going to get rid of these two. Our examples don't need the cube eyeball, right? I want to create a little world. And luckily for me, there's a bunch of POIs that exist here inside of Fortnite, and I'm going to take advantage of that. So scroll up here to the top, go into Fortnite. Let's do a search for POI. Sorry, prefabs. Point of interest is what I think about it. Let's grab eeny, meeny, miny. There's some new ones that have been out too. I want something that's kind of irregular. Anybody have any suggestions? A regular shaped. Some of these are so square because of the assets that we have that are in them. Oh, actually, hold on. Dang it, I just lost where it was. This one. Okay, this should work. Unless there's suggestions. I'll give you another count of 3 before we see this. 3, 2, 1. No? Okay. So what I want to do is create a capture space for something that's irregular, right? So if we grab our comm station here, just click and drag this into our world. So this thing's pretty good sized, but you'll notice that if I want this specific area right here to be a capture area, right? It has a very different shape, right? And if I were to grab our little capture object, or device rather, so we'll go up here into devices and just type in capture. Right, so we have our capture area. This is the one I want to use, and I want to bring this into the world. Right, so we'll click and drag this in and let it go. And in here, we have a capture radius right here, right? And this is pretty much, and you can kind of see it. I'll get a little closer here. I'll wiggle this so you can see what it is, right? You can see that this gets bigger, right? That's that circle, which is a cylinder is what it is, right? And as long as the player's in there, you're like, cool, that works. But I don't want somebody hiding behind the wall over here, right? This whole section, being able to capture this, right? Because that's not fair. Whoever's there, they can't see what's going on, right? Maybe it turns into a stalemate where there's one person inside, one person from the other team that's in there. And then all of a sudden we have this problem. We could talk about breaking down the wall, all the other stuff that goes with game design, but I want to avoid that specific issue. And to do that, we can use this new trick. And if you look closely, and I'll zoom in on it so you can see it here, right? You'll notice that we have these 4 points that create a square that lives right here around it. This is a spline, and I love splines. They're the most amazing thing ever to play with. In fact, if you ever work in any kind of CAD software, you will absolutely have to learn how to use these things. So this is an amazing transferable skill from UEFN, a game engine, into a CAD software. So check this out. Down here below, we need to turn this on so that it would actually work in game, right? So we do a search, and we do a search for, what was that thing called? User. And it's a checkbox. It's like way down here at the bottom. It's like way at the bottom. There it is, right there. Boom. So we are searching for use. Oh, dang it, I just lost it. There it goes. This one right here. So use spline shape for boundary. This is amazing. I love this thing. So if we turn this on, now you'll notice that this square is where the player needs to be, right? So let's set this, I don't know, right there. That's a good spot for it, right? So there's the center of it. Thank you, particles. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use these 4 little points to define this area. And you're going, Ian, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4. You get the point, right? There's a bunch more in here, 5, 6, 7, 8. How do we deal with that? This is splines. I'm sorry. I'm so excited about this. I'm sure you could probably tell, but this is super cool. So let's go ahead and select this. And I'm going to grab each one of these points. And I'm going to use this little arrow, the area that's between these 2 arrows, the one that's going this way, the one that's going that way. And I can actually move this over here, right? So we grab that one. I'm going to move this over here. Grab this one. I'm going to move that one there. I'm going to grab this one. I'm going to set it right here, right? So now the only area that the player can actually capture is going to be in this spot, you know? That's cool. But we want to make it that whole area. So let's actually take this a step further. We're going to move this one over. And I apologize, particles all over the place. What I'm going to do is select this one here. And it doesn't matter which one I grab. The thing that I want you to know, I'm going to hold Alt on the keyboard, and I'm going to click and drag on this, and it's going to actually create another spline point, right? So now I can put it over here, and then hold Alt, click and drag, and now I got another spline point here, and hold Alt, click and drag, and I got another spline point here. Oh, and it's given to me. It's hard to tell where it's going to pop up. So sometimes you have to rearrange these. So I'm going to rearrange these guys, right? Grab that one. I'm going to put this one up here. That one is going to go there. Okay, cool. So now I have a capture area, and I wish those particles weren't actually there, that is literally this shape, right? So now I don't have a problem of a player standing here, my art skills, right? Beautiful. And then another player actually standing inside, right? We can totally deal with the gameplay like we want. If you're not amazed by this, this is such a cool little feature. Like, I absolutely love it. So, and what's great is that I can move this. Whoops, come here, right? So let's move this over here so you get a better shot of what this actually looks like. So you can see, hopefully you can see, right, that actual outline has been changed, and we can control that using splines. So huzzah, splines, and thank you, engineers over at Epic. Like, that is a super cool little trick that exists. Makes my life so happy that this is a thing, right? Okay, so there's that. I'm actually going to leave this over here. For those that didn't know, this project that I'm in right now, we actually bottled this up, and I'll show you where you can find it so you can actually reverse engineer it, right? So if we go to one moment, let me bring it up here on screen. We have a website that it was actually help funded by an Epic Mega Grant, and this is where you can actually find these. All of these end up on here. Right, so we have our UEFN Creator School, which was a Mega Grant recipient, which is awesome. And inside of this, if you look up here at the very top, we have our courses. Huzzah! This is all free, by the way, so you can jump in at any time. And inside of here, let's scroll down a little bit. You can find our live streams. And inside of here, this is where this live stream is going to be archived. It will be taken off of YouTube and the other socials eventually. And if you go into here, you can actually see all of the ones that are in here, right? There it is. So there's the one from January, right there, right? And with these, there are, wait for it, click on this part of it. If you click on the image, you will see that these have, whoops, this right here. This means that this specific video has got an attachment to it. And that attachment is the project that we were working with, and in this case, in January, right? So you can go back and reverse engineer this stuff. This whole site is filled with just stuff about Unreal Engine and UEFN because they're very closely related. So if you want to learn more about this specific hardware, or sorry, this specific software, and make a master out of yourself and make it happen, like, come join us. We got a whole community here that does a lot of fun stuff. Sometimes we get guests that are showing up when they can make those things happen. Last year, we had some amazing people show up that work inside the community. So again, huge thank you to that. The last thing that I want to talk about before we move on is up here in the top right. You can see myself as well as Maestro Shark. We've been working with him over the past, year-ish or so now, I think. And it's been a minute. And if you want to learn stuff from Maestro, of course, he has all of his stuff on YouTube and the things that he drops out there, which is amazing. And we thank him for all the free stuff that he puts out there. And if you would like to learn from him specifically, you can come through us and we can try and set you guys up and make that work so that you can learn from him. Yeah, it'd be awesome. Okay. Questions. What else do you all have? So many fun little things to play with inside of here. Don't worry. No question is a bad question when it's about UEFN. There's so many things that exist inside of here that can be very difficult to try and figure out what it is that you want to do. Or if you have a question like, how do I do X? How do I do Y? What's the best way to do this? What kind of things should I avoid when trying to build this kind of mechanic? Like, those are the things that we're here to definitely answer. And we do have, like I mentioned before, we'll go to schools, we'll do game jams. We had some amazing game jams this weekend. Had a gentleman actually create one where the player was like in this very dark farm and they had to try and get specific items. They were using the flashlight to kind of see where they were going. But it turned like all the atmospherics all the way down, and they ended up winning because we have everybody like test the games. They ended up winning like the Player's Choice Award of all the students that were there. So it was really cool to kind of see, the feedback that the community gives while actually testing it at the same time. So super fun stuff to do for sure. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and launch a session here. Wait for it. We'll go hang out with Crash in the actual game. It's very quiet in the chat this morning. I know you're all in there. I can see that. So I'm curious to know what games you all are working on. Drop them in the chat. What kind of genres are you working on building? I'm not going to ask the game because I know there's NDAs. I'm just going to ask what kinds of games you all have. Nothing. Nobody's working on games. I tease because I can get away with it. Right. So while we're doing that, I'm actually going to set up a quick little capture because I can. I also am going to build, a little bit here because I want it real easy to get my player up into this area. I'll get rid of that. I get them up there. That's pretty close. Let's push this out just a little bit. Oops. There we go. That should make that a little easier to get into. Got a free for all and a music map. Ooh. I would love to see the music maps. We've built a free-for-all. We actually have a class where you can build a free-for-all map too. So cool. That's awesome. Field event bindings with inverse. Can you explain this? I have no idea what it means. People seem to be really happy with it. So I haven't played with it yet because it's brand new. Like, it just dropped. And yes, we are very happy about that. So these things, let me go make one here real quick. So what I'm going to do is build a user interface. So this is for doing UI, right? So then we have our widget blueprint, and I'm going to go ahead and just grab a regular widget and WBP, we'll do this one test, right? So in here, so there's going to be a little bit of exploring because, like I said, I haven't played with them yet. Up here in the top right, right? So here we have our verse fields reflected in the asset digest. The field and the bind will be, goodness, trying to read in real time is great out loud. And a field and bind, add a field and bind it to a selected widget in the details or the view bindings panel, right? So when we're creating these UI pieces, in the past, we haven't been able to have things like buttons. So let's do this. We have a canvas panel, which we don't always need, but we're going to do that. And let's go ahead and grab an overlay, right? And inside the overlay, that's this little thing that's right here. I'm going to put a button in there. Now, I'm putting it inside the overlay because I want to be able to control where it goes a lot easier. And overlays just assist with that. Like that's what they're built for, right? So image, and then we'll drop that in there. Oops, sorry, not image. I want a button. Let's go button loud. So if I grab my overlay, I can move this from one place to another. And with the overlay selected, I'm going to say size to content so we can see the entire button. Boom. All right. So if we're going to bind something to a button, right, we have to worry about our view bindings that exist down here. And then our verse fields allows us to, instead of having just buttons and arbitrary pieces that are attached to what that button does down here, we can now control a lot of that inside of verse. Right? We haven't had access to that in UEFN up until like now-ish, and I think the last couple of updates. This is huge. And the reason that this is huge is because this is the same stuff that we use inside of Unreal Engine, just in a different flavor. We could make all the buttons actually work with Blueprint code or C++ code. And we haven't had access to do it with verse code yet, right? So now the familiar workflows are coming over to make life a lot easier. So one of the big reasons that people are getting excited is because we haven't been able to do this inside of UEFN, but we know that it's been coming and that it's existed inside of Unreal Engine, right? So now we have access to actually doing this. So some of the stuff that I believe we can do, don't quote me on all this stuff because I don't know what all this, because I haven't dug into it yet, right? But we can access, see if I can create one in here, right? So we can create variables. So we're like button toggle, right? So we have a button toggle. This happens to be logic. I should probably zoom in on this so you can see this, sorry. All right, so we've got like a button toggle. We can set it up as specific types of variables. We got events in here too. I really need to get in here and play with this. And how do we want this to actually work, right? So then once we have it here, we have access to all of this stuff. Right? So if I say compile, save that, let's go back over here and then we'll go into verse. And I'm going to say build verse code, compile verse code. They've changed the way that's written, right? Give that a moment. I don't need the game running right now. And if we open up verse, so there's a button up here at the top, right? And open this up. We should see this show up. Give it a moment. I want this, not that one, this one. Where's that widget? There we go, right? We should see this show up inside of the verse digest, or not the verse digest, but the asset digest. So if we look inside of here, right? So here it is. There is that widget that I just created. Like it exists in there. Right. So here's the material that I just created earlier too, the eyeball, right? So we have access to do things with it. And we can play with how this button is going to react inside of the verse code, right? So this is just huge. If you've never played with it before, if all of that went over your head, just understand that now your designers and your game designers and your UI designers have access to build even cooler like buttons and reactions inside of it in verse, as opposed to relying on what we had at the beginning, which was just all of the devices and linking like a button in the button, right? So if we were to grab a button, like, hey, we could link a device to this button, right? Now inside of these widgets, we can attach buttons and all kinds of stuff inside of here too. And so what this kind of means is that you can change like animations for things. You can like slide UI around because the button's attached. Like it's just huge. It's a big thing and I love it. So I would love to do some tutorials on it, but everybody keeps beating me to them because I keep traveling. That's just fine. I'm totally okay with that. So long story short, hopefully that makes sense on what that's actually becoming, right? Okay, so crash. We should be able to, yep, okay, cool. So there it is. I can see the edge of this. Hopefully you can kind of see this too. It's really faint, but it's like right there. Right, so you can see that that's the size of that. So if we were to grab, let's grab an actual capture item spawner. Boop, right? So we have that one. Friendly team, capture team, aqua, K, play capture sound list. All right, what are we going to add in here? Let's do the obligatory acorn, right? So then up here, grab up here. Well, actually, let's do this. I'm going to copy this data down here. So you can hold shift and right click and it copies it. And when we come up here to this thing, right, we can go into our item list and I can paste it in there. So shift left mouse click will paste it in there. So now this item is going to go along with this capture area. This is amazing. Was it recently released? Yes, like as of like today, like that was recently released. Yes, you're very welcome for the information. Hello, welcome. Yeah, more people. I appreciate y'all coming by. Grab some popcorn. This is going to be amazing. Okay, so save all that. Start my game. I should drop in here. Boop, right? So if I grab this, right, so now I've got it in my inventory. Come up here, right? And then I can actually put that in there. And now you can see, like, if a player is hanging out over here, if they're not inside that capture area, because we customized the way that that capture area was actually built, which is so cool. I love spines. They're just amazing, right? So there it is. Boop. Ta-da. Drop it in there, which I think, oh, did it already take it? It probably already took it out of my inventory. Go back and watch the recording. I didn't see it happen. Right. So there's that. Yeah, this spline thing is just absolutely super cool. We love it, love it, love it. Let's see here. What else did they add? Let's take a look at some of the information in here. I saw this. This is interesting. So I don't, like a lock-on rifle? I almost feel like I need to get the NPCs in here. Let's try. Let's lock on. Lock on rifle. Does this one allow me? Hey, it does. I can actually drop one in here. That's amazing. All right, let's start the game. I'm curious to see what this actually is. I appreciate all the work that goes into so many of the different weapons. Oh, hold on. Let's set this up so that you actually spawn like immediately. It's gonna take me 12 seconds as opposed to the 10 seconds to wait for it. But that's okay. I'm moving. We're making happens. All right, here we go. Right, so we got that. Oh, it's a purple one even. Oh, look at that. We got like a, okay, we need to get some guards in here. Now I'm curious to see how this thing works. Where are my guards? Guard spawner. Here, guard spawner. Give me your guard spawner. Let's put them on an opposite team. Team index. Oh, this is in favorites. Okay, there we go. Team index. Oh, really? That doesn't come across in favorites? Ooh. So I can't play that in there. Interesting. All right. Well, then I'm not going to have that in my favorites. That is a glitch. Remove from favorites. There we go. That's fine. Okay. So now guard is not on the same team as I. Cool. This is going to be, if this really does like a lock-on thing, then I'm going to be so happy because I am such a terrible player at this game. Yeah, look at that. Oh, what? Get out of here. Oh. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, and you just tap it once and it actually fires. Ooh, okay. What can we do with the game? Oh my gosh, how should we use this in a game? Everybody's like, that's super cheap. You're playing against bots. We're fine. Okay. Let's see here. Let's move this over here. I'm also going to change the time of day because I can. Let's say 11 a.m. Okay, so we got that. So the bots are over there. So let's bring in, all right, let's play with some other toys, right? I'm not seeing questions. This is why I'm doing this. So hopefully this brings up some questions. Bring up some questions, right? So if let's do a elimination manager. Right, so we have our elimination manager. We're going to our target type, and I'll zoom in on this so you all can see this. So our target type, we want to change this to all guards. So any guard, right? So this one down here. And then the other thing we're going to do is we're going to, let's blow up the building. Yeah, let's blow up the building as soon as we get X amount of eliminations. So we're going to need a barrel, explosive device. So we'll grab an explosive device. I'm going to set it right there, right? So we got that. So there's this. So some of the stuff that's going on here kind of in the background in my brain is thinking about how can we get a reaction, or how can we reward the player for what's actually being done, right? In this case, we're taking out baddies in this case. And if we take out enough of them, we're going to blow up this building. So I'm also thinking logically in the back about creating code that is going to happen in there. Okay. So let's start playing with the event binding. So we're going to, and I'll zoom in on this so you can see it. So I've got the barrel selected. So I'm going to have it explode at a specific point in time. So I can add an array element here and say, well, I'm going to receive a signal from something. What is that something? Well, let's go ahead and grab, because we can do this, we want a score manager, right? So score manager, right? So maybe we've got a setup. I'm going to end, it's going to drop it to the floor. We got a setup where we are inside of a facility, right? And we are needing to take out X amount of guards, right? That's what it happens to be. All right. So this one, our score value, and I will put this on screen if I can get it all on screen here, move that over and move over, right? So our score value, we want to start at 0, and we'll say that we're going to add a point every time we eliminate someone, which we'll connect that in a moment. And down here at the bottom, we want to send an event when we take out, let's say 3. We'll keep it small, right? So once we take out 3 bad guys, we'll go ahead and make this barrel explode. Now we want to increment every time we actually take out a bad guy. And that is where our elimination manager over here is going to come in handy. Right? So we're going to increment every time we get an elimination on elimination, right? So for those that have never played with this before, elimination means I'm eliminating someone, right? If I'm eliminated, that means that I'm out, right? So, so on eliminated, we're looking to see when a guard is actually being eliminated. That's what we're going to look for. Right, so we're going to increment. And then we're going to send an event on scoring on 3. So if we come back over here, right, this thing over here will need to explode when our score manager reaches the score output. That's the event that we're waiting for, right? So quick little game mechanic. Also, we need a bigger explosion. So we're going to take you and blast radius. Let's say all the blast radius. If I make this too big, then I'm definitely going to take myself out. It's only got 1 for health. Can be damaged. I don't want somebody shooting it by accident. Structure damage, 150. Nope, we want like all the damage. Player damage. Let's set this down to 0. So the player can't be damaged. And just in case, let's see if the AI show health bar. Okay, cool. I think. Ooh, blast line of sight. Ooh, what does this one do? Determines whether the explosion requires a clear line of sight to the player prop to damage. Oh, interesting. Okay. So if you're behind a wall, that thing wouldn't actually damage you. That's cool. All right, now our guard spawner. Let's make them stormtroopers so they can't hit anything. And now spawn count. We need 4 of them, and this thing is going to set off when we get 3 of them. So let's only have 3 of them spawn, like so. All right, spawn through walls. That's fine. Enabled on game start. Yes. Items. This is the weapons that we can give them, or items we can give them. I wonder if guards can heal each other. Now that I think about it, max health. We'll make this real easy. We're going to set this at 20. That way they're not bullet sponges. Okay. This is also why I love UEFN, because we literally just created a game mechanic in like 4 minutes, right? So idea, what's going to happen, right? So players going to spawn, right? We're going to have baddies that spawn over here. every time the player eliminates one of these baddies, we're going to get this counter to count up to 3. Once it reaches 3, it's going to send a signal to the barrel that's in there, and that barrel should explode and take this out. That's what we're hoping is going to happen. And I want to point out, I haven't written a single line of code for this entire thing, right? So prototyping is really helpful. And when we're teaching this, you can see that, I don't have to have programmer background to make this happen. Just the understanding of like the if-then statements, if this, then that, right? So if we take out 3 of these baddies, all right? So if we take out 3 of these baddies, we should get an explosion, right? And that's what I want the player to feel. Like, what is it that we want the player to actually experience when we're playing with this, right? All right, so let's go ahead and start game and see if everything came through. And I will use my controller just to get that little yellow dot off your screen because I know how awesome that is, right? So we can come up here and grab this, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so take that one out, that one, and we take out one more. Oh, nothing exploded. Why not? That's interesting. So even if I'm not aiming or locking on, it's trying. Oh, interesting. Okay, so there's a cooldown that goes along with this. All right, so nothing exploded. So now, game design. Let's go figure out what's going on. First and foremost, is this thing active? Can be damaged. Explode on proximity. Is it enabled? Explode, turn on visibility, reset. Okay, so let's look for enabled. Okay, so it's probably just enabled anyways. Cool. I want to be able to see this. So inside of here, there is a drop down. Whoops, wrong button. Inside of here, so the drop down that I'm looking at is visible in game. Yes, I want this always visible. That way I can see it. In fact, if we do this, let's actually slide this over here by me and then try it. Might need to push changes here too. That could be a thing. So not a big deal. Okay, I'm not seeing any information pop up on our score manager, which tells me something has gone very wrong. All right, score manager, send on event, increment, on eliminated. Let's try elimination. The can be damaged is off. What can be damaged of what specifically? Okay, that showed up. We're not incrementing. I'm assuming you mean this barrel that's way over here. It should not be explode. I just don't want to hit it and make it explode. That's my concern on that one. Audio. Okay. Score value. Award type. We should be adding. Oh, I know why. This thing right here. Score changed when activated. This needs to be at least 1. Boom. Okay, let's see if that's what it was. I said add, but I didn't tell it how much it should add. Well, I did. I told it to add 0, which was not smart. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so now we're getting a 1 over here. Oh, we actually have to hold that out. And then, boom. There we go. Look at that. It exploded. Okay. So, game loop, right? So we've got this going in here. Also, this was doing a damage of like 500, which is fine, but it's not enough to break all the structures. I'm going to have it reset itself after it explodes, which is cool because we can create this loop that's built inside of it, right? So if we bring this over, so I can say reset yourself after you explode. Oh, come here. Come on now. Play nice. The zooming in thing is probably messing with it. Could be big explosive device. There we go. And we'll say on explode. Now, the other thing that we need to do too is we need to reset our little counter here also when it explodes. So I'm going to copy this. Right click, shift right click and copy our reset. Come over here and we'll say reset and we'll paste it in there. Save that. Is it me or is the edit to game mode a lot faster than it was before? Oh, you know what? I bet you're right, actually, because I can hit that and jump in. Although my game is tiny too, so that probably helps. But yeah, that's a good point, right? Okay, so, oh my gosh, I love it. I can be totally horrible shot. Oh my gosh, this is a game changer. Boom, that explodes. Okay, that should reset that thing, and the timer's reset. Cool. All right, so 2, wait for it, and then boom, we get more explosions. Yay, right? Okay, cool. Awesome. Now I can't get the acorn up there. You're very welcome to kind of see my thought process when I'm playing with this stuff. Yeah. And this is kind of what this is all about, right? Like as you all are building games, like these are the things that I'm thinking about. I would gladly just sit and build games with y'all. So if these AMAs need to turn into like we all work together to make a game, like and try and do it in an hour, I would love that too. I would also, for those teachers that are watching, hopefully you're still watching at this point, um, this is the kind of stuff that we do in the classroom, right? We walk you all through this. Now I'm just working on this tiny little one, but we literally help students build all this stuff, right? I'm drawing on the screen. I'm making sure that they're engaged. Like this is what we do, right? So good. So good. Okay, cool. So those work. We got about 9 minutes left. What other questions do you all have when it comes to building this stuff? I am actually going to jump over to the actual, sometimes the questions don't come through. So I'm going to jump over to the socials and see if there are questions in those chats that are not showing. What do we have? Okay, looks like it's still pretty clear on that side. Okay, cool. Excellent. Oh, not that one. I have to log in on my Twitch side to see what's going on. Oh, nope, we're good. Okay, cool. Sweet. Just seeing a couple of that are on there. Awesome. So I'm not missing any of the questions on those. Let's see. What other new toys? Can we just type in new? No, I didn't think so. I know we've gotten a few new ones. What was the new one? So we have a drivable reboot van. This is fun. Right. So if we jump in on here, I love that you don't have to push changes when we're using the devices. Boop, there it is. Look at that. Boom. Jump in this one. There's like a medic thing in the back of it. That's awesome. Okay, so we can honk, we can switch seat, boost, radio on and off, and the radio. Okay. Oh, it lights up when it gets shot at. Oh, interesting. That's a cool little mechanic. So if we hide behind it, oh, it's just going to roll off the edge, isn't it? What does it actually light up when they hit it if I'm behind it? Reboot squad. Yeah, so you can actually like reboot people in. So good. I'm new to UEFN. I'm reading the questions in here, right? So I'm new to UEFN in the Unreal space. Do you see more people playing custom maps? What advantages do you see locking to UEFN over making a standalone? What advantage do you see when locking to UEFN over making a standalone game? I think I understand the second part of that question. So welcome to the Unreal and UEFN stuff. I'm an Unreal authorized instructor, so I always love seeing people come in and join and playing with this stuff because it's just fun. I love noodling with it, really, right? So do you see more people playing custom maps? The answer to that is yes. I believe the last statistic that, don't quote me on this, but look it up. So fact checked, right? Was that 60% of the players inside of Fortnite are playing custom maps, not things like Battle Royale and Rocket Racing and Zero Build and Ballistic and all the other ones that Epic has actually created. They're actually created by people like you and I that are just making maps. So there's the majority of people are playing custom maps. 100%, I believe that is accurate. So go check that out. 60% of the time, it works all the time, right? But yeah, look up those statistics. Oh, hey, I just got cut off. What advantage do you see when locking to UEFN over making a standalone game? The thing that I see that's going to be the most advantageous is that when working inside of UEFN, because we have all of these devices, we can prototype stuff way faster, just like exponentially quicker. And because of that, we start to get into that creative mode and we're just building. Whereas if we were to jump into something like Unreal Engine, there's a lot of like overhead that we need to learn. Like, are we going to use Blueprint? If we're going to use Blueprint, let's just go down that route because there's other things too, right? Let's say we're going to use Blueprint. Well, now we need to understand, how the Blueprint system works. And if we go to create a brand new character from scratch, it's a ton of work. Where here we can literally just jump in and start playing. We don't have to worry about making a move. We don't have to worry about picking up objects. We don't have to worry about inventory. So it's just a little bit faster, especially when you're new. It's just significantly faster. And the thing that I love about it is that it really helps us understand what game design or experience design, right? It doesn't even have to be a game, just an experience. That experience design gets you from point A, the beginning of it, to something that you can play test B, that side of it, significantly faster so you can iterate a lot quicker. Once you have that core gameplay loop and you know that it works or works well enough, you can start to add little features on top of it. And this is where other devices start to come in handy. Like, how do we like reset some of these pieces? Like thinking about how those work. Maybe we want to go ahead and be able to pick up our teammates and bring them back. Right. We don't have to create the truck. We don't have to create the spawner. Like we don't have to create any of that stuff. We can just drag and drop it in. And then, as we get into that intermediate advanced stage, we can start playing with things like verse. So the verse system is, it's the answer to writing code inside of a game engine, and it runs in VS Code, which is amazing. So having that access to be able to start at a really low level and then be able to work your way up is pretty quick. For example, I don't know if you caught the beginning of this, but we just came back from a game jam out in Syracuse, New York. We're in Colorado, and while we were out there, we were working with students that had never even played with this software before. And of the 11 students that showed up, we had 11 games come out of it, which is crazy. Like, it's just insane. And that's partly due to Epic. Like, we're standing on their shoulders. Like, they've built this game engine so that you can just kind of pick it up and build it and work with it. Right. Now, if you're going to make a standalone game, the thing that you run into there is that you have to publish it. Right. So you go through a publishing company, right? You set up all the stuff that goes along with that. In Fortnite, you can publish it directly to the Fortnite ecosystem, and you don't have to worry about going through a publisher. You're literally just going through Epic. You do have to be 18 years old, right? There are rules that go along with this, right? So it allows you to, from the start, just get going and then just build your way up to a published game, and taking that knowledge with you to another game engine like Unreal Engine or Godot or Unity or Gamebryo or RPG Maker, whatever it is that you're taking. Like, you've already kind of got that logic and that understanding. So are there advantages? Yes, it's much more efficient. It's considerably faster. But if you want to go and make a big, giant, huge game, like, this game engine is a great way to kind of get you to the point where you can do that in something like Unreal Engine. So yes, hopefully that answers your question, but let me know. It's a long way to kind of put that one in there, right? Easy. You don't have to become an expert at multiplayer networking. Also that, right? We're already playing with multiplayer built in. Like, it just does it. Unreal Engine actually has multiplayer built in just by default too, which is really awesome. We've written quite a bit of curriculum for Epic Games, as well as for Microsoft too, so that students can actually learn these specific like things like networking and coding and how to actually build these experiences while sneaking in the vegetables, as we like to say, so that they're learning about all these other little underlying pieces, and we're piquing their curiosity, right? Like, well, how do we actually build a material? Well, I built one real easily here, but you can take this to a whole nother level. For example, I'm going to hold down the P because we were talking about hotkeys, right? So if I hold down the P key as in pneumonia, I can left mouse click and I'll get a panner. And if I click and drag this in here, right, this little function, I don't have to write the code for it. I can just set it up so that if I type in a value, let's do something slowish, right? It'll automatically just start panning, right? These are the things that are built in at the game level, but also in the creator side of things, where it works. It's just phenomenal, right? So now if we grab, let's grab a plane, or so shapes, plane, we'll drag this one in, right? Drag that in there, and let's grab that material, right? So I can drag and drop that on there, right? And I instantly have something that's working already, right? I don't know what I would use this for specifically, the eyeball, I mean, right? But you can use this for a lot of other stuff. So say you have like a ticker that moves across the screen, whether it's in UI or whether it's something in the background, like it's pretty easy to build. You're welcome for the answer. Absolutely. Is it better to make Fortnite like maps or something super custom? That's actually a really good question. And here's why. Fortnite players come to Fortnite to play specific games, whether it's Battle Royale or right now Steel the Brain Rot. I mean, it was only up for a while. There were a bunch of tycoons that people come to. So they're going to show up to the shop, the Fortnite Discover area, right? They're going to show up to the shop with an expectation of a game that they can play, right? So if most people hear Fortnite, they're like, oh, it's just a bunch of people running around in Battle Royale. Like, if I want to play that game, I'm going to go to Fortnite. And at the same time, there are a lot of very unique custom games. And when they pop off, then they work really well. And getting the average Fortnite player to understand that those other games are there, maybe their friends don't necessarily want to play those games. So what I suggest, so to answer your question in kind of a shorter form, what I would suggest if you're going to build a game, find a genre that you like that's common inside of the ecosystem, inside of the Fortnite ecosystem or the other UGC ecosystems, right? So there's Minecraft, there's Fortnite, there's Roblox, there's Core, there's half an like itch.io, right? Like there's a bunch of like genres that kind of live in there, and those are the ones that people are going to come to play more often, right? So find your game that you want to build that's like that. And then once you have a player base, you can introduce new things to them, right? Take a look at what Jogo's done over the past. Like look at the games that they have, and you'll see like, oh, like they've got like a Bed Wars game. People like to play Bed Wars, right? So now they have people that have played their game. So when Jogo drops another game, which it looks like they've got something coming soon. I saw something on LinkedIn the other day. They'll have people that want to play that game and they'll follow them along, right? So looking at that brand and then moving on. So hopefully that answers your question. We've tried building really custom things, and I've seen people build really amazing custom stuff, and nobody plays it because they don't know that it exists because they're coming to Fortnite for a specific type of game and type of experience, right? There's a bunch of people that build like live events, and they do really well, right? Because they're like, oh, there's this really cool live event that happened in Fortnite. I'm going to go see if I can find some other cool live events that happen in Fortnite. So they get players that are on there. Genesis does this. They do amazing live event kind of stuff that the player gets to join in on. So check out some of their stuff too. All right, y'all. Here's the end of it. We've been chatting for about an hour. I appreciate you all coming by. Again, this will be available for you to download. You can join our UEFN Creator School. It is completely and totally free. And then download this. This video will be available on YouTube for about a month or so. And then when our March one for 2026 actually jumps in, we'll take this one down and we'll put up another one that'll just hang out for about that time span. Yeah, that's all I've got. I appreciate you all. Keep being creative and, being awesome and everything that you do inside of it, because this game engine is a lot of fun to play with. And it's a beautiful stepping stone to jump into something like Unreal Engine, which is this, but it's got a lot more fun things inside of it. All right, I'm out. See y'all.